It is so awesome to see you on this fabulous Monday morning. And I have this beautiful member of ours, Deborah Drummond, with us. And you can see mission accepted. What I love about Deborah is she always just says yes and accepts the mission. And that's what I love about her and her energy. But today we're really going to dive into how she became number one in her industry. People ask that all the time. How do you do it? What does it look like to reach that success? What did you go through? And then on top of that, she not only has reached that success, she helps others get there. So today's interview is going to be about how she has done that and how she can help you do that too. So Deb, welcome to the show. Do you want to introduce yourself quickly and tell us where you're coming from?
Absolutely, Colleen. Thank you so much. Well, I am coming from beautiful Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, because I know there's more than one Vancouver in the world. And I'm just so happy to be here. Thank you so much. I love your energy. How can you not be excited? I'm like, I'm just Colleen today. So I was listening to some music beforehand because I knew I better.
Because we're always about pumping up the energy here. So Deb, tell everyone what company you're number one in and what it really took to get there. Because, I think the details are important on what it takes to get to be number one.
Yes, absolutely. So the company that I am presently in right now is a company called Neora International. And it is an anti-aging company. It's a health and wellness-based company. And I have been number one in acquisition. I guess I've been with them 9 years. I've been in the top 7 for 9 years, top 3 for 6 years. I've been number one globally 5 years in a row. And hit all those 1, 2, 3, 4s in acquisition, which means that I've been able to have more people join my team than anyone else in the company. And I'm the only person in that company in its existence that's ever had number one in customers and number one in distributors in the same year. Mm-hmm. So
what does that take, girlfriend? Tell us.
What does it
take? Yeah.
Okay, so you know what? I've been asked that so many times and now created masterminds around them and I call it top performance, right? And I want to take something out of someone's head right now. As soon as people hear top performance, they hear I got to work a whole lot. It's going to be tough. It's going to be hard. I'm going to be at the top. Someone's already at the top. How am I going to get to the top? All that stuff. I call it the goblin on the left, and then there's the goblin on the right that I want to talk to. So what I want to say, first of all, is that yes, it takes energy, but it takes consistent energy. That's the key. And I have studied top performers for probably 30 years. Not only did I read it, I took it in and then I put it into application and see if it worked for me. There's lots of tips that I can share, but one of them is, particularly if you're in a company, if you're in a sales company, a real estate company, sales team. I just went and spoke to like 7,000 women in finance. That was an incredible presentation. Yes. They were all independents, or if you are in network marketing or direct sales or affiliate marketing, whatever. Many people look at people that are above them, and this is what they say. I'm like, this is what they say. They say they were here longer. It's a couple doing the business. They got in first. And what I want to tell you is that I came in 2 years after the company existed. I was in a country that wasn't allowed to sell any product. We still don't have all the products that the other country does. I'm a single mom. I had 2 kids. I had a child with special needs. I had 18 staff. Like, you can go on and on. My biggest message to anybody is don't compare your insides to other people's outsides. Don't do it. Just don't do that. Don't compare. Don't compare. I am the accidental number one person. I had a reason to make revenue. I had needs that needed to be fulfilled. One was financial and one was future, and 2 of them were my children. So I was in a situation where it wasn't like, oh, maybe I'm going to do this. I made a decision at the very beginning of the ask. When someone asked me to be in this company, I said no. Then my daughter said, please, can we do it? I said no. And then my daughter asked again, and she's 19 and she won, and here we are. So it wasn't like I set out, I had this big lifelong plan to be number one in this business. But when I made the decision and I got really clear on my why, and I understood that the compensation was the best for me, which is what I do for people. I break out their compensation and tell them where to play, right? There's all sorts of things where to play. Then I made that decision. I have been in Success Magazine 48 times. The first time I hit, I thought that was a mistake. The second time I hit, I thought it was a mistake. I thought, is anyone else in this business doing anything? Like, how could I have gotten in there so easily? And what I learned was strong, consistent behavior brings strong, consistent results. And it sounds super easy. It's not what you do. It's not what you do. It's how you do it.
Yes. I'm
Mm-hmm.
glad you said that, because that is the number one thing that I hear as well is, they just feel like they're going to have to apply all this work ethic for 80 hours a week and they're never going to see their family. And you're right. It's just showing up, rising every day, being consistent, and how you do it. Let's talk about that, how you do it. And one of the best ways to become number one in your interest in industry, to become well known for what you do, is leveraging people around you, not doing this all by yourself. You're not moving this mountain, all by yourself, or climbing this mountain all by yourself. So how do you leverage teams?
Right. Yeah. So how do you build teams? How do you leverage teams? Okay. So so that's really good. That's a great question to ask. It's a little multifaceted of an answer. So I like what you said about surrounding yourself. That was a really big one. Someone who came from a solopreneur, I owned a bricks and mortar. The concept that I was working with a team that I didn't have to pay was really weird. I was like, oh, you're going to help me and I don't have to pay you or hire you. I don't need an assistant. That was pretty conceptual. And so I actually looked for the person that had what I wanted and asked them questions. I have a saying, don't go to your bank manager and ask about your divorce. And we do it all the time. We ask our girlfriends that are, maybe single about how to find a relationship. Why are we doing that? So go to someone who's had a successful marriage. So I found someone, I'm not saying this because I'm a trainer and a coach. I'm saying this because for 25 years, I've hired trainers and coaches. They have something I want. I spend some time with them. I spend some energy. I save the amount of time it would take me to do it on my own. So you're very correct in that whole team environment. Have people on your team, and not always necessarily just in your company, because they might know a lot about your company. Find someone that knows a lot about the industry, the profession as well. Okay, so there's that part of it. And then in terms of leveraging teams, well, that's one of the reasons why I believe so much in the network marketing industry, because I study economics, and specifically a lot around women economics. And in North America, there's only 13% of women that are millionaires, and 85% of them are in the network marketing industry, because it has that flexibility and that compound interest part to it, right? It's got that compounding when you can. So how you leverage teams is build teams, work with your teams, and help your teams do the exact same thing that you do. And when you help people, it's a win-win. I always say we play ping pong. If someone wants to come into my team, I'm like, awesome, get prepared to play ping pong. I'm going to stick with you. I'm going to work with you just like I'm your personal trainer. We're going to get you to where you want to go. But if I call you, you call me back. If you ask a question, I'm going to answer it. And I teach and work with people in the way that works for them. Very different. Some people go, here's the company structure. And we're now in social selling. So rock it out on Facebook. Well, I just talked to a woman this morning and she said, I can't stand Facebook. I don't use it. I'm like, perfect. What works for you? Adapt to them. I hit number one in my company, and I'd only ever put 4 posts on Facebook, and none of them had to do with my business. Now, obviously that was before this last little couple of years, but get out of your head around how they have to do the business, and let them tell you what their gifts are, and double down on the gifts.
Yeah, I love that. It's very interesting because I did a 2-day training with my clients last week on Thursday and Friday, and something came up that was just brilliant that was said. How do you expect anybody to invest money in you if you're not willing to invest money in yourself? And, that's just the way the universe works. And unless we're willing to invest time, right? Invest energy on getting the knowledge from others, like you mentioned, of ones that already have done it before us. Why are we reinventing the wheel? Get the knowledge that you need and then apply it on how it fits for you, right? How it fits for you.
Absolutely. And I'm, not to put a plug in here, and I'm not saying the reason why I created Masterminds, right? Because I've been doing it myself since I was 20, because I saw this piece. piece in sales structures. I saw this piece, and the piece was frustration. unexpected frustration, right? And seeing people leave the industry or leave that whatever they're in, whatever sales structure they're in, I saw them leave before the money.
Yeah.
And here's what you need to know. We all know businesses need to be in a certain amount of time before the money comes and all that stuff. And traditional business owners understand that before they unlock the door, right? Bricks and mortar, you own a Subway, your first 5 years, you're not making anything.
Right.
But when you come into a side gig business, or when you come into that style, direct sales, affiliate marketing, whatever you want to call it, network marketing, relationship marketing, when you come into that, you don't realize that there's frustration that comes in your kit. And what I see a lot of people quit before the money. They do the foundation work, they break through some barriers, they get themselves to a place, and then they hit a frustration. And then what do? They think that there's something wrong with them, and they just don't understand that it's a time and tweaking and restructuring system. So that's why I created Masterminds. I'm like, okay, before you get frustrated, get over here and let's get you some tools to bypass that place where the money hasn't started, like the money, they got money, but money hasn't started to downpour yet. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Masterminds are so important for several reasons. One is the coaching you receive from everybody in the group, and the perspectives, right? We throw one idea out or one frustration out or one hurdle out, and then you have multiple people now that can weigh in on that frustration or that hurdle or whatever it may be. Masterminds are crucially important for us to really be able to move past barriers. I 1,000% agree with that. And talk to us a little bit about your mastermind. Do you work with people only in your industry? Do you work with people outside of your industry? What does that look like?
Yeah,
Deborah?
absolutely. I mean, I'm obviously very well known in the sector of direct sales. And so I work in two ways. One, if someone wants to be in a mastermind with other people in direct sales only, I have that. I also have it that there'll be a leader of a team that'll say, can you just mastermind my group? Like, let's just bring my group in and we will mastermind, because it's amazing how there's a lot of there's a lot of experience in one group, but they never get together and get to banter off with each other. So I'm specifically in a certain income level mastermind group in my sector, and then in not. The interesting thing is I do have masterminds for people that are not in network marketing, because network marketing is business. If you're in business, if you're attracted, what I do attract into my masterminds are people that are looking for top performance skills.
Yes.
So it's not, everybody has their thing. My thing is teaching top performance in a way that's not like, it's not, how can I say it? It doesn't make you feel like you're going to have to work 80 hours like you shared earlier. It's actually that whole smarter versus longer type of teaching. So we mastermind, and then I overcoach each session with a top performance skill and implement.
Yeah. And we're talking about those that want to be number one in their industry, want to be a top performer. But there are those of you out there that are not interested in being a top performer. And you're very happy with the status quo of just producing a certain amount of money per month or enough for vacations for your family or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And that's okay. We're not saying there's anything wrong with that.
No.
This conversation is for those that want to be the top performers and want to be able to be in a mastermind, be surrounded with other women and men, possibly, that also want to be in the top performer realm. And
the name of it is, so that when I say top performer, and so yes, there are people that say, I want to be in masterminds of this. Okay. Yeah. So it could be income level, it could be years, and that's fine. So in this sector, 6 figures, 5 figures, right? And it's interesting, in direct sales, it can be even less than that. The interesting thing is, the topic is how to be number one in your company. That's the same as when I speak. How to be number one in your company, even if you're the only one in your company. So let's say that I just had a mastermind last night, and there was 12 women in there. They all don't necessarily want to have, some of them want to have my income and more. Some don't. So, there was one in that was more focused on her being an author. They have their top income. They know what their top performance looks like to them. And if they don't, they do by the end of some time with me. Yeah. And that's their top performance goal. So yes, I'm the number one in acquisition, and I can tell people and show people how to get there if that's what you want, like
Right.
in your in whatever company you're in. But I always say to keep in mind, because again, don't forget, I was an accidental number 1. I was an accidental number 3. I was an accidental number 7. My top performance goal was to be debt free and to leave a legacy. And I'm a single woman that's not 20, and I need a financial future. And I had a child that had incredible needs. I had a special private school. That was my top number 1 priority. It happened to be a very expensive school, and so I went to that level in my business. But that was my number 1 top performance. And then by doing that and being dedicated to that, I rose to the top.
Yeah. Because you really felt like in your mind you had no choice. This is what needed to happen. So there wasn't an out on that. It was the consistency and the drive and the perseverance and your why behind why you needed to get there, why you needed to bring in that amount of income. There was a lot standing on the line for you. Yeah. So Deb, tell us how they can reach you. I have your website up here, debdrummond.com. Is your mastermind information on your website, or what would be the best way? Would you want someone to message you separately?
Yeah, so it's very easy. You can go to debdrummond.com and send me an email. You can go to deb@debdrummond.com, either one of those. Obviously, I have the Instagrams and Facebooks. If you like Facebook, I'm Deborah Drummond. If you like LinkedIn, I'm Deborah Drummond. And if masterminding, if you don't like the mastermind group thing, I do private. I endorse people on my website. I have, books on entrepreneurship. People can come join and be part of that whole anthology success. Mission Accepted is a platform for entrepreneurs. We're talking about one major piece of it. But even if you want to come on the show, if you want to come onto the podcast and share about your mission, happy to have you.
Wonderful. So you guys have several choices to connect with her here that is available. You can reach her at debdrummond.com or deb@debdrummond.com. And I've shown you all of those. So please feel free to reach out to her. This is real. If you're looking for the guidance for you to be able to be number 1 in your industry or number 1 in your company and run a consistent company where you're not feeling like sometimes you have to work 8 hours a week, sometimes you're feeling not, and you've got a lot of ebbs and flows in your businesses, it shouldn't be that way. There should be consistency. Deb Drummond's who you want to reach out to. So Deb, thanks for being with us today and teaching us a few steps on what we need to be doing to be number 1 in our industry. And we hope you'll all join us again next week on Monday as we interview another fabulous female of the LEAP community who has taken the leap, and you want to know how she did it. Thank you, Deb. Everyone have a wonderful rest of your week. Goodbye for now.
Bye.
Bye-bye.